Imagine if the universe had a secret message meant only for you. A message hidden inside your dreams, your fears, and the strange coincidences that happen in your life. What if those signs were actually guiding you toward your destiny? Most people ignore them. But one young shepherd decided to follow them even when it meant leaving everything behind. His journey would take him across deserts, through danger, into love, and ultimately toward a treasure far greater than gold. This is the story of Santiago, and the powerful lesson that the entire universe conspires to help you achieve your dreams, if you are brave enough to pursue them. Welcome to the timeless wisdom of the Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And by the end of this story, you might just start listening more carefully to the signs life is sending you. The story begins in the beautiful countryside of Spain, where a young shepherd named Santiago spends his days traveling across the rolling hills with his flock of sheep. Santiago loves being a shepherd. Not just because of the freedom it gives him, but because every day brings a new adventure. He can visit new villages, meet different people, and see parts of the world that most people never experience. His sheep trust him completely. They follow wherever he leads them. But Santiago has noticed something about his sheep. They only care about two things: food and water. As long as their basic needs are met, they are perfectly happy repeating the same routine every single day. Sometimes Santiago wonders if many people are exactly the same, living the same life day after day without ever questioning it. But Santiago is different. He loves reading books. He loves learning about the world. And deep inside his heart, he feels that his life is meant for something more. One evening, while traveling through the fields of Andalusia, Santiago stops at an abandoned church to spend the night. The church has no roof, and in the center of the building grows a large sycamore tree. Santiago ties his sheep inside the ruined walls so they stay safe from wolves. Then he lies down under the stars and falls asleep. That night Santiago has a strange dream. In the dream, a child appears and begins playing with his sheep. Normally Santiago would be annoyed if someone disturbed his flock. But somehow, the sheep seem calm and happy around the child. The child takes Santiago by the hand. Suddenly they are transported across the world all the way to the Egyptian pyramids. The child points toward the pyramids and says something surprising. If you come here, you will find a hidden treasure. But just as the child is about to reveal exactly where the treasure is buried, Santiago wakes up. The dream that won't leave him. At first, Santiago tries to ignore the dream. After all, dreams are just dreams. But something about it feels different. It feels important. And when he falls asleep again the next night in another village, he has the exact same dream. The same child. The same pyramids. The same promise of treasure. Now Santiago can't stop thinking about it. Could the dream actually mean something? Curious and slightly confused, Santiago decides to visit a woman in town who is known for interpreting dreams. She lives in a small house on the edge of the village. People say she has mysterious powers. But Santiago is skeptical. Still, his curiosity wins. Inside her house, the woman listens carefully as Santiago explains the dream. When he finishes, she looks at him seriously. Then she tells him something shocking. You must go to Egypt, she says. That is where your treasure is waiting. Santiago is disappointed. He expected a complicated interpretation. Instead, she simply tells him to follow the dream. But the woman asks for something unusual. She refuses to take payment now. Instead, she asks for 1/10 of the treasure if he actually find. Santiago leaves her house confused. Traveling to Egypt sounds impossible. He is just a shepherd. How could he cross an entire desert? And besides, what if the treasure doesn't exist? But the dream refuses to leave his mind. Later that day, while sitting in a town square reading a book, Santiago is approached by an old man. The man seems strangely interested in Santiago's life. At first, Santiago finds him annoying. But then the old man says something that shocks him. I know about your dream. Santiago is stunned. How could a stranger possibly know about it? The old man introduces himself as Melchizedek, the king of Salem. He explains something powerful to Santiago. He says that every person has something called a personal legend. A personal legend is the dream or purpose that your soul truly wants to achieve in life. When we are children, we know exactly what our personal legend is. But as we grow older, fear, doubt, and the opinions of others slowly make us forget it. The old man tells Santiago that his dream about the treasure is not just a dream. It is a sign from the universe guiding him toward his personal legend. Then he says one of the most famous lines from the book. When you truly want something, the entire universe conspires to help you achieve it. Santiago feels something awaken inside him. Hope. Excitement. Possibility. But there is still a problem. He cannot travel to Egypt without money. Melchizedek smiles and offers a deal. If Santiago gives him 1/10 of his sheep, he will help him follow his personal legend. At first, Santiago hesitates. His sheep are his entire life. Selling them would mean giving up everything familiar and safe. But deep inside, he knows the old man is right. If he ignores the dream, he might spend the rest of his life wondering what could have been. So Santiago makes a decision that will change his life forever. He sells his sheep and prepares to begin a journey that will take him far beyond anything he has ever imagined. After selling his sheep, Santiago suddenly finds himself standing at the edge of a completely new life. For years, his sheep had been his comfort. They gave him food, companionship, and a sense of purpose. Now they are gone. In their place is a small pouch of money and a dream that seems both exciting and terrifying. The old king, Melchizedek, gives Santiago 2 small stones before leaving. One stone is black, called Urim, and the other is white, called Thummim. He explains that these stones can help Santiago when he struggles to understand the signs of the universe. If the answer to a question is yes, the white stone will appear. If the answer is no, the black one will appear. But the king also warns him not to rely on them too much. Learn to read the signs of life yourself, he says. With that final advice, the mysterious king disappears. Santiago is now alone. But for the first time in his life, he feels like he is truly moving towards something meaningful. Soon, Santiago arrives at a port city in southern Spain. From there, he plans to travel to Africa. The journey across the sea feels like crossing into another world. When he arrives in the bustling city of Tangier in Morocco, everything feels unfamiliar. The language is different. The customs are different. Even the smells and sounds of the marketplace are overwhelming. For the first time, Santiago feels afraid. Back home, he knew exactly how life worked. But here, he understands nothing. Still, he reminds himself why he came. He came to find the treasure near the pyramids. Not long after arriving in Tangier, Santiago meets a young man who speaks Spanish. Relieved to finally communicate with someone, Santiago quickly trusts him. The man offers to help Santiago reach the Egyptian pyramids. He says they will need to travel across the vast Sahara Desert, which requires camels and supplies. Santiago feels hopeful. Finally, someone understands. The man suggests they go to the market to buy the necessary equipment. But the marketplace is crowded and chaotic. Merchants shout from every direction. People rush through narrow streets. In the confusion, something terrible happens. The stranger disappears. And with him all of Santiago's money. In just a few seconds, Santiago loses everything. The dream suddenly feels impossible. He is alone in a foreign land, unable to speak the language, and completely broke. For the first time, Santiago considers giving up. He sits silently in the marketplace, watching the crowds move around him. Tears begin to fill his eyes. Maybe the old king was wrong. Maybe the dream was just an illusion. But then Santiago remembers something Melchizedek told him. Before a dream is realized, the soul of the world tests everything that was learned along the way. The purpose of these tests is not to make us suffer. It is to prepare us. To make us stronger. Santiago slowly realizes that he still has something valuable. He still has his courage. And he still has his dream. Instead of giving up, Santiago decides to look for work. While wandering through the city, Santiago notices a small crystal shop sitting on top of a hill. The shop looks old and dusty. The crystal glasses in the window are covered with dirt. Almost no customers are visiting. Santiago walks inside and offers to clean the crystal glasses in exchange for some food. The merchant agrees. After Santiago carefully cleans the glass display, something surprising happens. 2 customers enter the shop. They notice the sparkling crystal and decide to buy several pieces. The merchant is shocked. It has been a long time since customers came so quickly. Seeing this, the merchant offers Santiago a job. Santiago accepts. He plans to work long enough to earn money and return home to Spain. After all, buying new sheep would allow him to restart his old life. But as weeks pass, something interesting happens. Santiago begins to help the merchant improve his business. He suggests placing crystal glasses outside the shop where people walking by can see them shining in the sunlight. At first, the merchant hesitates. More customers means more risk of breaking expensive crystal. But eventually he agrees. The result is incredible. More and more people start visiting the shop. Sales increase dramatically. Santiago then suggests another idea. He proposes selling tea in crystal glasses to customers. This new idea becomes extremely popular. Soon the crystal shop becomes one of the busiest stores in the market. Within months, Santiago earns far more money than he expected. He now has enough money to buy many sheep. He could easily return home and live comfortably as a successful shepherd. But something inside him has changed. Santiago remembers the dream about the treasure. And he remembers the words of the old king. When you truly want something, the universe conspires to help you achieve it. Now Santiago faces an important decision. Should he return to his safe and familiar life? Or should he continue chasing the mysterious treasure waiting somewhere beyond the desert? One evening, Santiago and the crystal merchant sit together watching the sunset. The merchant begins talking about his own dream. For many years, he dreamed of traveling to the holy city of Mecca. In his religion, visiting Mecca is one of the most sacred goals a person can achieve. But the merchant confesses something surprising. He says he has never gone. Not because he cannot afford it, but because the dream itself gives his life meaning. If he actually fulfills the dream, he fears life will lose its purpose. Santiago listens carefully. For the merchant, dreaming is enough. But Santiago realizes something about himself. He cannot live like that. He cannot spend his entire life wondering what if. He needs to know what lies beyond the horizon. And so Santiago makes another life-changing decision. After working for almost a year, he gathers his savings. Then he leaves the crystal shop behind. This time, his goal is clear. He will cross the desert. He will reach Egypt. And he will discover whether the treasure truly exists. The caravan across the desert. Santiago joins a large caravan traveling across the Sahara Desert. Hundreds of people and animals move together slowly through the endless sand. The desert is vast and mysterious. During the day, the sun burns fiercely. At night, the temperature drops and the sky fills with countless stars. Among the travelers, Santiago meets an Englishman who is searching for something very different. The Englishman is studying ancient knowledge called alchemy. He believes there is a powerful alchemist living somewhere deep in the desert. According to legend, this alchemist can transform ordinary metals into gold. He also possesses a magical substance called the Philosopher's Stone, which contains immense power and wisdom. The Englishman spends most of his time reading complicated books about alchemy. But Santiago learns something interesting. While the Englishman studies books, Santiago studies the desert. He observes the wind. He watches the behavior of animals. He listens to the silence. Slowly, Santiago begins to understand something profound. The entire universe speaks a silent language. A language made of signs, intuition, and connection. And anyone who learns to listen carefully can understand it. Santiago's journey is becoming deeper and more mysterious. Ahead of him lies the vast Sahara Desert, a hidden oasis, the powerful alchemist himself, and a discovery that will completely transform his understanding of destiny and treasure. But the greatest lesson is still waiting. Because sometimes, the treasure we search for in the world is actually meant to transform the person who is searching. Arrival at the oasis. After many long days traveling through the silent and endless desert, the caravan finally approaches a place that feels almost magical. In the distance, Santiago sees something unexpected: tall green palm trees rising above the sand. The travelers begin whispering with relief. They have reached an oasis. In the middle of the harsh desert, an oasis is like a small paradise. Water flows from deep wells, birds sing in the trees, and people from many tribes live there safely. Because according to desert tradition, an oasis is considered neutral ground. No tribe is allowed to fight there. For Santiago, the oasis feels like a dream after the exhausting journey across the desert. Hundreds of tents fill the area. Children play around the wells, women gather water, and merchants sell food and supplies. The caravan leader announces that they will stay here until the tribal wars in the desert end. No one knows how long that will take. Days, weeks, maybe even months. Many travelers feel frustrated. But Santiago sees it differently. He remembers something the old king once told him. Wherever your heart is, that is where you will find your treasure. Maybe this oasis is part of his journey for a reason. Meeting Fatima. One morning, while walking near the well to collect water, Santiago notices a young woman approaching. She moves with quiet grace, her dark eyes calm and thoughtful. When she lifts the water jar, the sunlight reflects across her face. At that moment, Santiago feels something powerful inside him. Something he has never felt before. Love. The woman's name is Fatima. She lives in the oasis and belongs to one of the desert tribes. At first, Santiago struggles to speak. But somehow, their conversation feels natural. Fatima listens as Santiago tells her about his journey, his dream, and the treasure waiting near the pyramids. Instead of thinking he is foolish, she understands. In fact, she says something beautiful. She explains that women of the desert are used to waiting. The desert men often leave for long journeys. And when love is real, it does not hold someone back. Real love allows a person to follow their destiny. Santiago realizes something important. His love for Fatima does not weaken his dream. It strengthens it. Because now, he has even more reason to return. Before leaving the well, Santiago promises her something. I will come back for you. Fatima smiles peacefully. The desert takes our men away, she says softly. But they always return. During his time in the oasis, Santiago continues learning from the desert. He spends time observing the wind, the animals, and the silence of the sands. The Englishman continues searching for the mysterious alchemist who supposedly lives nearby. But Santiago begins to understand something deeper. Knowledge does not only come from books. It also comes from listening, from watching, from feeling. One afternoon, while sitting quietly in the desert, Santiago notices something strange. Two hawks flying high in the sky suddenly begin fighting. The image flashes in Santiago's mind like a vision. He sees warriors attacking the oasis. The vision disappears as quickly as it came. At first, Santiago doubts himself. Was it just imagination? Or was it a sign? But the feeling is too strong to ignore. Remembering the language of signs, Santiago decides to warn the tribal leaders. When he tells them about his vision, the leaders become serious. The desert people respect omens. They decide to prepare their warriors just in case. The next day, something incredible happens. An enemy tribe suddenly attacks the oasis. But because the warriors were ready, they successfully defend their home. Many lives are saved. The tribal chiefs reward Santiago with gold and offer him a permanent place in the oasis. Now Santiago faces another difficult choice. He could stay here. He has wealth. He has safety. And he has love. With Fatima. But deep inside his heart, he knows something. If he stops now, he will always wonder about the treasure waiting near the pyramids. And if he abandons his personal legend, his heart will never truly be at peace. Not long after the attack on the oasis, a mysterious rider appears in the desert. He rides a powerful black horse and carries a falcon on his shoulder. His presence feels calm, yet incredibly powerful. This man is the legendary alchemist the Englishman has been searching for. But surprisingly, the alchemist is not interested in the Englishman's books. Instead, he is interested in Santiago. Because Santiago has begun to understand the language of the world. The alchemist tells Santiago something important. You are ready to continue your journey. But Santiago hesitates. He thinks about Fatima. He thinks about the comfortable life he could build in the oasis. The alchemist listens carefully. Then he explains the truth about destiny. If you stay here, you will be happy for a while, the alchemist says. You will marry Fatima. You will become wealthy. But slowly, the signs will disappear. And one day you will realize that you abandoned your dream. Those words strike deeply in Santiago's heart. He knows they are true. And so Santiago makes another brave decision. He will continue his journey toward the pyramids. Fatima understands. She tells him something that gives him strength. I am a woman of the desert, she says. I will wait for you. Santiago leaves the oasis with the alchemist as his guide. Together they travel deeper into the desert toward Egypt. During the journey, the alchemist teaches Santiago powerful lessons about life, courage, and the soul of the world. He explains that everything in the universe is connected. Every grain of sand. Every animal. Every human being. All are part of the same universal spirit. When someone truly follows their personal legend, they begin to connect with that spirit. And through that connection, they gain incredible understanding. But the journey becomes dangerous. In the middle of the desert, they are captured by a group of tribal warriors. The warriors suspect them of being spies. To test Santiago's power, the warriors demand something impossible. They say that if Santiago truly understands the language of the world, he must prove it. They give him 3 days. On the 3rd day, Santiago must transform himself into the wind. If he fails, they will both die. At first, Santiago feels terrified. How could a human being possibly turn into the wind? But the alchemist remains calm. He tells Santiago something important. When you want something with all your heart, you are closest to the soul of the world. For 2 days, Santiago tries to understand what he must do. On the 3rd day, he climbs to the top of a hill. The warriors gather to watch. Santiago begins speaking to the desert. He asks the desert to help him become the wind. The desert tells him it cannot. Then Santiago speaks to the wind. The wind says it can blow across the earth. But it cannot turn a man into itself. Finally, Santiago speaks to the sun. The sun explains that true transformation comes from something even greater. And so Santiago turns to the ultimate power in the universe. The hand that wrote everything. The force that created the world itself. In that moment, Santiago stops thinking about fear. He feels completely connected with the universe. And suddenly, the wind begins to rise. The sand lifts into the air. A powerful desert storm forms around the warriors. The wind grows so strong that no one can see clearly. And when the storm finally ends, Santiago is standing far away on the other side of the camp. The warriors stare in amazement. They have witnessed something extraordinary. They release Santiago and the alchemist immediately. Santiago is now closer than ever to reaching the Egyptian pyramids. But the final twist of the story, and the true meaning of the treasure, is still waiting to be discovered. Because sometimes the greatest treasures are not gold or jewels, but the person we become while searching for them. The final journey toward the pyramids. After leaving the tribal camp, Santiago and the alchemist continue traveling through the desert for several more days. The desert stretches endlessly in every direction. Golden dunes rise and fall like waves in a silent ocean. During the journey, Santiago feels different than before. He no longer feels like the same shepherd boy who once wandered the hills of Spain. Now he understands something deeper about life. He understands that fear is often the greatest obstacle between people and their dreams. And he realizes that every challenge he faced, losing his money, working in the crystal shop, crossing the desert, Even facing death had prepared him for this moment. Eventually, the alchemist stops his horse. In the distance, something incredible appears. Tall stone structures rising from the desert sand. The Egyptian pyramids. For a moment, Santiago cannot speak. The pyramids look ancient, mysterious, and powerful. They seem to carry thousands of years of history and secrets. Tears begin to fill Santiago's eyes. For so long, these pyramids existed only in his dream. Now they are real. The alchemist turns to him and smiles. "You have come far," he says. "This is where your journey must continue alone." Santiago feels grateful for everything the alchemist has taught him. Before leaving, the alchemist gives him one final piece of advice. "Always listen to your heart," he says. "Because where your heart is, there you will find your treasure." With those words, the alchemist rides away into the desert, leaving Santiago alone with the pyramids. Santiago walks slowly toward the pyramids. As he reaches the massive stones, he kneels down in the sand. The same place he saw in his dream. His heart beats faster with excitement. This is it. This is where the treasure must be buried. He begins digging into the sand with his hands. The sun slowly moves across the sky as he digs deeper and deeper. Hours pass. But he refuses to stop. Finally, night begins to fall. Just as Santiago continues digging, something unexpected happens. A group of men suddenly appears in the darkness. They are thieves wandering through the desert. When they see Santiago digging, they become suspicious. They demand to know what he is doing. At first, Santiago tries to stay silent. But the thieves beat him and force him to speak. Eventually, Santiago tells them the truth. He explains that he had a dream about treasure buried near the pyramids. The thieves laugh loudly. One of them shakes his head and says something that changes everything. "Dreams are meaningless," the thief says. "Years ago, I had a dream that I should travel to Spain and search for treasure in an old abandoned church where a shepherd used to sleep under a sycamore tree. But I was not foolish enough to cross an entire desert for a dream." After saying this, the thieves leave Santiago in the sand and walk away. But Santiago does not feel sad anymore. Instead, he begins to laugh. Because suddenly he understands. The treasure was never buried near the pyramids. The treasure was waiting for him back in Spain. In the same abandoned church where he had his dream at the beginning of his journey. The same ruined walls. The same sycamore tree growing through the roof. The same quiet stars above. He begins digging in the exact spot where he once slept with his sheep. After digging for some time, his shovel hits something hard. A wooden chest. His heart begins racing again. Slowly, Santiago opens the chest. Inside, he finds gold coins, precious jewels, and beautiful ancient artifacts. The treasure is real. More valuable than anything he ever imagined. But Santiago smiles quietly. Because he knows something now. The real treasure was never just the gold. The real treasure was the journey itself. Without the journey, he would never have become the person he is today. With the treasure safely packed, Santiago prepares for one final journey. Back across the desert. Back to the oasis. Back to the woman who promised to wait for him. Fatima. As Santiago looks at the horizon, he feels grateful for every moment of the adventure. Every mistake. Every challenge. Every lesson. Because they all led him exactly where he was meant to be. The powerful message of the alchemist is simple but life-changing. Every person has a personal legend. A dream or purpose placed in their heart. But most people abandon that dream because of fear, comfort, or the opinions of others. Santiago's story reminds us that the journey toward our dreams will never be easy. There will be obstacles, doubts, moments when giving up feels easier. But if we keep moving forward, listening to our hearts, and trusting the signs life sends us, the universe will guide us toward our destiny. So here is a question for you. What is your personal legend? What dream have you been delaying, ignoring, or doubting? Because the truth is, your journey may already be waiting for you to begin. Just like Santiago discovered. Sometimes the treasure we are searching for is not just at the end of the journey. It is hidden within the courage it takes to start. If you enjoyed this audiobook summary of The Alchemist, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with the word legend. And tell me, what dream are you ready to pursue? Because who knows? The universe might already be conspiring to help you achieve it.